Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Litecoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, before we actually get into the lower degree counts over here, what I want to talk about is a couple of the macro things and a couple of interesting things that have happened. So what I'm looking for here within the two corrective counts where we actually look for more continuation to the downside is that we could actually have this move as either a bigger A, B, and a C to the downside here, in which case what we are looking for here is effectively that what we could actually be looking for to the upside here is just an X wave. Now, this X wave potentially could look to complete in this zone if this is the case, where this is just a three-wave move down, three-wave move to the upside, and we look for continuation to the downside afterwards. Now, 0.618 would be our minimum requirement based off of this high that we've currently moved into. I wouldn't be against the idea that we could still see some additional structure up here, but it is looking likely that this could be a completed move here, where actually what we have is this is W, X, Y, X, and then this is a Z wave to the upside. So we're going to go over that internal count in a second, but if we do look to actually reject from this point, I would be on the lookout for that possibility that we could still see price move down in this way. Now, we do have a bullish count that we can talk about, but before we jump onto that, I want to also just talk about this other option, where instead of looking at this in this way, we could argue this is W, this is X, this is Y, and then what we're looking for is this is a potential additional X wave here. So that would be that this X wave over here is actually in play. Now, the very interesting thing about this is measuring this previous X wave over here and projecting that to the upside. If I come in a bit closer here, we can see that prices hit this on the head here. So this is exactly one-to-one of this previous X wave here. So this is why I'm just being on the lookout that we could actually still see continuation to the downside starting to play out here. Now, if we're looking at this in this way, and what I'm looking out for is that possibility we could start to break down in three-wave structure. So, you know, just because we've hit this and we've had a reaction off this level doesn't necessarily confirm this yet. What I'm looking for is a break back down below this previous X wave here. And what I want to see is a three-wave structure to the downside, looking for this Z wave. So within the bullish case, what we would be looking for is effectively saying that we have this is 1, 2, another 1, 2 here, another 1, 2 here, and effectively saying that we had another 1, 2. Now this is fine, but really what we need to see now is progress to the upside. So this kind of thing can happen before we see a bigger move to the upside. Something like this, for instance, this was looking very corrective at one point until actually we held this low here, and then price explodes to the upside. So I'm just being mindful there is the potential we could be seeing something like this just on a bigger scale. So we need to just bear in mind that as long as we continue to set these higher lows, this bullish case is actually still in play here. So this could actually align with seeing a bigger push to the upside here. The key level I want to see is this 1618 get hit, but actually the internal of this is probably higher. So that would be this 148.62. So if we do continue to hold this low, we could potentially be setting up for this bigger push to the upside. Now, the thing is, if we are looking at this bullish case here where we have this series of ones and twos, extension within these waves would not be uncommon. So we'd be looking for that possibility that would, you know, get a bigger push up here. It would be very important for us to count these subwaves correctly though, because this would adjust the target quite dramatically as it actually looks to play to the upside. So this is still alive in our bullish count, but we just need to be careful that we don't start to break down from this area that we are currently in and look for that deeper retracement. Okay, so let's get into the lower degree counting here and have a look at this structure. So the way that I'm looking at this currently is that potentially this move could actually be completed to the downside, where we look at this as a three-wave move here with a connector wave and another three-wave move, effectively a double zigzag here in an A wave. Now, typically speaking, what we'd be looking for if we are looking for this as a ABC would be continuation to the upside here, looking for this B wave. Now, looking at this A wave here, for as long as we actually hold this low here of the 91.62, potentially we could be looking for this B wave to actually play out here. Now, our support zone for this would actually be over here. If I just turn this into the support, there we go, this 94.93 to this $93 region. If we do continue to hold this and potentially see something like this, I'm treating this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. So this could be potentially a wave, and then we'd be looking for this idea of an ABC to the upside here. Now, an interesting thing would be the 0.382 is sitting here at the $99, which is also going to be that psychological level of that $100 level. And that's also aligning with this channel. So if we do see price just move up here in 3 waves, I would be cautious that we could see this continuation happen from here rather, where we could see this C wave come into play. If we only moved up towards this 0.382, our 1-to-1 would actually be much lower here towards the zone of this 79.69. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Alternatively, if we do look to hold that area, so forming this as an ABC, come back down and form something like this as a bigger corrective move, potentially what we could see is a move back up here towards this 0.618, which would be this 105. If we did see a move up into this zone, potentially we could be looking for this as a bigger ABC pattern. So I would be keeping my eye on 2 levels here. So if we are looking at this previous structure here, I would be interested to see how we react around this zone to see whether we actually find support in this level. If, however, we start to break down in a bigger way, we need to be careful of that idea of a bigger impulse here. I would say that we still need another push up here, but if we do start to just break down from this zone, it could actually mean that we are already within this, and then we have something like this as a 1, 2, 3 in there. But it's not my primary expectation here. I am looking for that possibility to see a little bit of a push to the upside, and then either we move down for the C wave or we look to move down deeper. Off that 618, 1.618 would be this 72.94. Now this, if we see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the downside, this would align with the idea of coming back down, and this would then mean that this move that we would have here effectively would be our A wave, where this is A or wave 1, we'd get a B wave up, and then we'd see that continuation down in either a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th, or A, B, and C. So that ABC pattern would align with the idea of this W, X, Y, X, and Z, where we're looking to come back down for the Z wave. So we'll be keeping an eye on this central channel line here as a possible target area for this if we do continue to look to break to the downside. So we're going to just be on the lookout for that possibility here. But what we need to also be aware of is in that bullish case here, what we could also argue is that potentially we could see a similar sort of thing happen on the shorter time frame here, but instead of actually seeing price break down to that more impulsive level here of hitting this 1618, what we could actually just see is a 3-wave retracement. So this is what we need to be careful of in our bullish case. As long as we hold this low here of the 70.75, we have potential to push to the upside. Now, the way that you would have to count this move, if you want to count it as a 5-wave move, would be that this would all be our wave 1, this would be 2, 3, 4, and then 5 to the upside in this area over here. So we could also potentially argue this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have an extension in the 5th wave. That is also technically a possibility here. But if we do just actually turn around from this point and start to push to the upside in a much more impulsive way, we need to be careful there isn't something like this where this is either 1, 2, and then this is another 1, 2, and then we look to push up higher in that bigger impulse. But that would only be really confirmed by a bigger move past this 159.82. So it's not my primary count. Like I said, I am anticipating that we're going to see a little bit of a push to the upside here and then get that continuation down afterwards. So within this count, effectively what we are looking for is the same idea here, treating this move here as a bigger A, a B, and a C pattern, looking for potential to move back up into this target box area. Now, it is possible we could just actually look to move into the lower end of this target box, so we need to be aware of that. If we do look at this, some potential zones here, 50% is at this 102, we have this 105 to this 106 as a golden pocket area, and then if we do look to potentially come up and sweep some levels, this 109, this 109.54 would be a zone to keep an eye on. We do, however, have 5-wave structure here, so if we want to argue this is a corrective move, need to be on the lookout that this doesn't become this doesn't become 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we do get a bigger 5-wave move up here, then we could be looking to actually break out of this level, and what I'd be looking for is that we get this wave 2 down, 3rd wave up, 4th wave, 5th wave, come back down in 3 waves, possibly look to retest the top end of this channel, and then look for that possibility of that bigger explosion to the upside. So that would be our bullish case here. This is going to be our shorter term support zone here. Like I said, 94.93 to this 93.02. As long as we hold this level, I am looking for that potential to see an additional push to the upside here. And depending on how deep we come here, possibly that 1-to-1 is going to push us up towards that level here of this 10107, like I said, or potentially into this 0.382 area, which would be this $100 zone. So gonna have to keep an eye on this. If we do start to push up higher towards this 105, then potentially what we could see is this develop as a bigger 5-wave move here, where we get this 3rd wave come in, 4th wave, and then 5th wave. And then from there, like I said, we'll be looking for that direct push to the upside. But, you know, we need to just be careful with this. The structure does have potential to extend to the downside. Really, as long as we hold this 95.52 to this 78.50 region, we can look for this push to the upside. But if we invalidate the 70.75, then it becomes more likely we're going to be in that idea of having that bigger push to the downside, because by that stage what we would have had is effectively we would have been hitting this 1618 level lower down here. So we need to just be aware of this. You know, if we start to break down to these levels, it becomes more likely that we are in this impulse to the downside. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we do have this R2, which we're currently interacting with at this 94.05. We have lost the central lines here, and we've hit this secondary target. If we do maintain this, this would align with that idea of this being a B wave and then possibly looking to push to the upside. Now, if we do look at that possibility, some upside targets that we have here for today is this 98.24. We have this 99.69. We have this 101.07 and this area here of this 102.55. Now, price can always move through these levels, but these are just potential pivot points. Now, if we do look to continue on deeper here, we do still have this 92.56 and possibly this 91.22 potentially there to offer us support to the downside. Now, flipping this over onto the weekly, what we can see is that we are currently underneath these weekly CPR lines here. We did move up into these and we rejected off this zone, and now we've started to move away. If we fail to actually hold this support and get back above these, then potentially what we could see is price could be gravitated to the downside directly to this 87.86, this $80.64, and this lower range here of the 67.06 as possible targets. If we do see price move back to the upside here, possibly what we could see is an interaction with this central line here, this 101.54. We have this 104.56, and then we also have this S1 line here towards this 108.66 as a possible target if we do look to move back above these lines. Other targets to the upside are this 122.10, this 129.46 as the possible targets for this week. Okay, so let's switch this over onto the monthly and see what we have going on. Okay, so on the monthly CPR, what we can see is that we did come back up here into this central line. We've actually started to reject off of this. If we do look to move back to the downside, potentially we could still look to find support on this lower line here, this 91.30. If we start to lose that zone, then we have potential to come down towards this 82.35. We have this 55.85 and this 41.05 as possible targets for this month. If we do, however, find support, look to push to the upside, I would be looking to see if we face rejection off this 102.91, which would be coming back into this horizontal level that we had as support here. So going to be keeping an eye on that. If, however, we do manage to break back above these zones, then potentially we could be looking for that possibility of pushing up towards this 123.46. We have this 138.55 and this 164.78 as possible upside targets for this month. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.